Hi, good morning. Maybe it's good afternoon. Depends on when you watch this. Yeah. I'm Bobby Brantley, and I teach here at Sage Bloom Yoga. I'm the owner and creator of the studio here. It's a small neighborhood studio that I offer my community for convenience, right? And with that, and with the spirit of what I want Sage Bloom Yoga to be, convenience. Hey, yes, it's kind of important, right? So that you're going to have then that quality time, but one, to regain energy for yourself, quality time for yourself, but then, right, like after you get grounded and after you have taken care of your needs, you're then more available to those around you, right? Loved ones, whoever that might be. Yeah. So welcome to the YouTube channel, Sage Bloom Yoga.
Is it recording?
It is. Okay. We're going to start class in Shavasana. So he will uncross his legs, getting them nice and straight, and then arms resting by your side. And for some shoulder space, I always like to take the palms facing the ceiling and then walking the arms out slightly. And just it allows then the shoulders to drop some, release towards the floor. And we're going to, so we have 2 blankets. That's mostly what we'll need for today's class, depending on flexibility. And so in his Shavasana, I'm going to roll these 2 blankets, stack them on top of one another. And you guys can do this for yourselves in this moment too. I'm just stacking, creating a long rectangle, and then rolling that rectangle and sliding it underneath your knees. The knees rest down. So some softness for the knee joints. And now in the Shavasana, just creating rest and a connection of your body to your mat. So feeling your heels connected to your mat, resting down. And then taking then your awareness into the knees, feeling the support of that blanket so that you can soften and release your knees down. And then you're going to travel up towards the hips, the hip bones, letting the weight of the hip bones release towards the floor. It's kind of like getting acquainted with your body in the first pose of class, Shavasana here. And taking your awareness into your back, so from the base of the hips, your low back, then up towards your shoulders. We're going to do a cleansing breath, so you'll take a deep inhale through your nose, and open mouth side out, allow the back to rest down. Now the shoulders, taking your awareness into your shoulders and in your arms, another cleansing breath. And as you sigh out, softening the shoulders down into the mat. And then building upon that mind-body connection from your shoulders to your head, feeling the support of your mat underneath you, head and shoulders soften and release to bring ease into your neck. And softening the space between your eyebrows. I want you then to release from there and soften to the center of your forehead out toward your temples. Taking that relaxation down into your jaw hinge. And from the bridge of your nose down along your sinus cavities. And from the bridge of your nose down along the edges of your nose, softening, releasing the upper lip. And following with the lower lip. So full body relaxation in this moment. And you just lay and rest. Why we do this to start class is to let gravity take over, allowing the bigger muscles to soften and taking some of the contraction out of the muscles. So that we're a little bit more limber when we move into the next pose of class. A few cleansing breaths here, in through the nose, out through your mouth. Every exhale, releasing the legs, the torso, the arms, something, right? Choosing something to release towards the floor. Now the next pose, we're going to slide, and you're going to slowly slide your heels, your feet back. The whole sole of each foot presses into the mat. We call these bridge legs. And we're going to warm the hips up, the outer hips. So a lot of the practice, the sequence I have for y'all today is to help release the back. But as like all the like muscles are connected, like they're all connected. And so we're going to warm the hips up slightly before we go into the deep rest of the next poses. So feet hip width distance apart, and I want the ankles, you want the ankles stacked underneath your knees for alignment. And now, like from the bridge legs, we're going to move with breath, and you take an inhale here. We're just going to move with one leg first, so the right or left, whichever you choose, we get both sides. Inhale, the knee is up at the top. Exhale, just one knee moves out to the side. Inhale, the knee comes back up to center. And then exhale, the knee goes out. Inhale, back up to the top. Getting the whole foot to connect to the floor, and then exhale over. So really moving slow. It's like a 3-second inhale, a 3-second exhale at least. I'm holding his knee in place because when he first took that knee over, this one followed. So there's some extra tightness there. So I was kind of holding it in place just to remind this one to stay still, which then limits probably the range of motion as you take that knee down. It does not have to touch the floor. Yeah, a few more. I was going to say like 4. Let's do 4 more on the side. Moving with the breath. The slower that you can move the knee, the more opportunity you have to get into the soft tissue, the connective tissue, which does hold everything together. And after this last one, we'll meet back up at the top. We're going to stay working with the same leg, the same knee. You're going to walk the foot out, not with distance though, so taking it a little bit wider. And now, inhale, knee up at the top. Exhale, the knee moves towards the left ankle. Inhale, back up to center. And exhale over. Yeah, I'm going to stay with your breath in that same flow. Knee coming up on the inhale. Knee going towards the ankle, opposite ankle on the exhale. So when he shifts over, he's like kind of pulling up. So here's where it starts to get into the back. These why we're doing this sequence. His low back starting to lift up off the floor. So there's some tightness there, right? And so this slow, right, like lowering and raising of the knee is a really gentle way to awaken those bigger muscles and to bring in length with your breath. Yeah, not necessarily forcing the stretch. You know, like giving yourself ease as you feel the tightness come in as you take the knee over. Like that's that point where you like, okay, I'm gonna back off a little bit, or you like the muscle isn't quite open enough yet to take it all your knee all the way down to the floor. And you're gonna do 2 more on this side before we transition to the other leg. And pause at top here. Just seeing for a couple breaths, noticing now the difference from either side. One, hopefully you feel a little bit more space on one side of your body now, the outer hip and the low back, than you do on the other. And today we're just doing these for 5 minutes on each side. You're welcome to go up to about 10 minutes. So you could pause the video and add in another 5 minutes of work on that one side. And we're now going to go ahead and move over to this other side. So we'll reset the feet, ankles underneath the knees. Taking a breath in. Exhale, the knee goes out. Opposite side. Inhale back up to center. And exhale over. Really slowing the breath down. And coming back up on your inhale. Letting the whole sole of the foot connect to the floor before you move the knee back out. And 4 more rotations, the knee moving out away from your center line. And this moment of stillness and really slowing down, I encourage you to just take your awareness into that outer hip, into that lower back. Noticing possibly the sensations that are arising, the changes in temperature that can happen when we start to move the bigger muscle groups, like little warm spots. Just allowing the mind to connect with the signals your body is sending. Then when we learn to tune into that, that is our biggest teacher, our greatest teacher. And so now that he's finished that rotation, we're gonna take the feet a little bit wider. And at one side we're working with it, that foot goes out mat width distance, it goes out to the edge. Inhale is up at the top. Exhale, that knee moves towards that inner ankle on the other side. Inhale back up to top. So it's both hips are starting, this big rotation starting to happen in that hip just from that. So I would encourage, if that's happening for y'all, you back out of the stretch just a little bit. You don't have to go super low. And then the inhale, knee comes back up to top. Exhale, that knee moves towards your inner ankle on that bottom side. On the opposite side. Yeah, so right there, stopping there, and then inhale, knee comes back up. And you're going to notice a difference in each side. And one will have more mobility than the other, and that's just common. That's how our bodies operate. We're dominant on one side, so one side's always a little tighter than the other. We'll do 3 more rounds with this knee moving inward. Connecting the flow of your knee, the movement of your knee with your breath, really staying present to that mind-body connection there with your breath. And so do that final one. He'll pause when he reaches the top, and so will you. Right? Like, so both knees up, feeling then again even sliding the foot back to stack underneath the knee, the ankle to be underneath the knees. Just pausing in this moment, honoring that work you've already done. It's like 10 minutes already. Yeah. Take a sigh out. Let the low back release towards the floor. Right now we're going to create this windshield wiper motion with the knees. They're going to go left to right. And this is like gentle rocks. And this isn't necessarily with breath. This is just to even out both sides. Generating a little bit of extra warmth in the outer hip and low back. And now the next pose, knees come back up to center. We're still working, right? Just kind of staying right here. But what the feet are going to do, they're going to come out mat width distance. And once you have that, the knees rest towards one another. So that work that you just did with sending the knee left and right, this, I mean, you're holding this for 5 minutes, and that's like gravity takes over, and that's when the stretch deepens. Right? And so trusting that just being here with your breath does create the opening, even though it doesn't feel like you're doing much. Right? And so you could utilize your breath to breathe into the low back. Right? And if you don't feel like, I'm putting my hand here so you can connect with my hand, and yes, send your inhale into my hand. Right? And you guys could use the floor. You could press your low back slightly, and just real slight. Don't like press super hard. It's a gentle press to let your mind connect with that space, and then you send your inhale low and shallow into the back. So you hold a pose for approximately 5 minutes, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes for 10. It just depends on how big of a benefit I see my students having in a pose. And like if you need to, if you're really enjoying this, you could pause the video and hold it for the 10 minutes, hold it for longer. And like that first half of the pose is some breath work. So yeah, he's utilizing his Ujjayi breath, still breathing into the low back. And then from there, we add in that cleansing breath. In through the nose and a deep sigh out, allowing the low back to release towards the floor. Maybe even a couple of cleansing breaths. The hip bones, like the weight of the bones dropping towards the floor, letting go. Now, moving more into your natural breath, allowing that natural ebb and flow to come in, because you've already generated the work needed to get the body to soften and to relax. Let me just pause here and observe, that mind-body connection. Observe any signals your body does send. And not limiting yourself with breath. If you feel the cleansing breath would be really beneficial, then you add it in at any moment. It's there for you. And in this moment, right, before we transition to the next pose, to come out of this pose, we want to be gentle in the transitions. So I want you to press the feet into the mat just to awaken the legs back up, awaken the muscles. And then you toe heel, slowly toe heel your feet back to center. And then when you get there, you're going to rock the knees left to right. And you got your two blankets. This comes up next. So they're stacked. You're going to fold them in half again, just getting that tallest setting you can with your two blankets. Coming back to center with your legs, and the legs then go straight out. A little mini Shavasana pausing here. Noticing the difference again of that like little bit of work, the 5 minutes of work in that pose, noticing the back and how it's connected to the floor, and that hopefully some extra ease that's in there right now. We're gonna take the left side first for a supine twist, just so you guys can see the pose. So he's gonna roll onto his right side. Oh, I'm sorry, opposite side. My left and right gets mixed up as a teacher sometimes. And you're gonna use these blankets. I need these blankets, thank you. I'm gonna create that double stack. And then this knee. Now he has access to all the props here in class. So now that I see where his leg is, I'm gonna give him a bolster that's gonna be higher to lift that leg up. If you have extra pillows or blankets around you, right, you could also create an extra stack. I'm gonna switch those props for you. Yeah, so this is a gentler opening that's happening, and there's not as much torque then, or like rotation on the hip bones here. That's why I took his pose up higher. And again, to make your head comfortable, you'll use the blankets. You can maybe just one blanket or another pillow you have access to. Fold it to a nice height, and you can tuck it under your head. In the first half of a pose, I invite in breath work to really get into the muscles that we're trying to work with. And right now is the low back on the right side, and at the hip, and then the thigh. So using breath, and you draw your breath in and out through your nose. My hand's on his right low back, so I'm gonna press in so he can feel that area and send his inhale into that space. Yeah, and I like to take at least 2 breaths into each area. So one more, low back, and sigh it out, releasing. And now the right side body, filling up the space, right? And the right lung filling up. As much air as you can take in, and then you sigh it out and you release. Next, working with the right abdomen. Filling up the low belly, that right side, and then sighing out, releasing. So we're generating space, we're using the breath to create space from the low belly to the low back and the side. Now, it's like the breath doesn't really, you can't really get it into the outer hip. So it's just in your mind's eye, right? You visualize your next inhale filling up the right hip. Imagining that the air goes there. And then you sigh it out and release that right leg down into the prop. to your blanket, to your support that you do have. And then after that breath work, you put, like it's about 2.5 minutes of breath work in. Now you get to enjoy the second half of the pose. Rest. And we make our way out of the pose. We slowly and gently pull whatever knees on top, the femur bone, letting the femur bone pull the hip back down as you rotate down. And taking a mini shavasana or those bridge legs, the knees bent, so that you can notice the difference on either side just from that 5 minutes of work. And now we're going to get that other side. So taking your props, whatever you use, blankets, bolsters, other side. Straighten up. I'm going to keep this blanket away for a moment so you can see the breath and how it works this pose. I'm going to breathe into the low back right here, into my hand. And sign out. Another deep inhale. So that inhale, it's creating space. You see his side body filling up, even though it's like moving towards the low back, and sign out, releasing. Now, that top lung, right, filling up, moving up towards the ceiling. And sign out. It's about an inch rise with that inhale into the lungs. So it really does generate quite a bit of space on the inside. It really does stretch muscles. Great work. Okay, now the abdomen on this top side. Breathing into the low abdomen. And then in your mind's eye, visualizing the next inhale, a cleansing breath, moving into the hip. And as you sigh it out, then that leg, that hip, dropping and releasing down into the prop, the bolster, your blankets, whatever's supporting that leg. And I'm gonna go ahead and give him this blanket to hug. It helps stack the shoulders, just keep you in alignment. And if you feel yourself still holding on, still noticing some tightness in the muscles, invite in that cleansing breath. Sigh it out, release, soften. Just a few more breaths in this pose. Always then being gentle as you come out of the poses. That's to make the muscles back up. Not want to like slingshot out of the pose. So even, yeah, like a gentle press of the leg into your props. And then next, using the femur bone to pull the hip back down to the floor. Let them straighten out. Pause in that mini shavasana. Or with rigid legs, just to notice the work that you've done, to notice how it's starting to open up your body. Our next pose is child's pose, and if you have the blanket, since we hold it for quite a while, I encourage the use of a blanket to go underneath your knees. So we're going to fold this one in half. It's like a long rectangle and then in half. And so he'll transition over onto his knees. And child's pose, feet come together, knees go out wide, and then you reach out in front. So go ahead and please get your blanket set up. Yeah, shift any props you need out of the way. And what can happen, especially maybe for runners, and well, just in general, the feet can cramp the longer you hold a pose. So if that does happen for you, you could play with tucking the toes under, and it does stretch out the soles of your feet. I think right now his forehead is touching the mat. And so then I'm not going to add any lift or any support underneath the sternum. He's got the space to let the head touch the floor. But if that wasn't the case for you, or it's not the case for you, you could use another blanket or a couple of pillows to place underneath your sternum to create that lift, to make the pose work for you. Yeah, so here we are, child's pose. So all of that work we've done with the outer leg, the hips, the low back is in this pose. We're going to hold this pose for 5 minutes, but really let's do some breath work first. Inhale into the shoulders, let the shoulders fill up. And then empty, softening the shoulders. Right? And like another breath in the shoulders. 2 breaths into each space. Because the muscles are all connected. So now it's going to be the low lungs filling up the mid back. And I encourage, as best you can, starting from your spine and then filling up out to the left and right. Manipulating the breath to bring in expansion into the back. Yeah, nice work. Sigh out, release. And now it's sending that air as low as you can into the low back. One more cleansing breath here into the low back. Exhale, side out, soften. Yeah, great. So you created some awesome space for yourself within your back. And now you enjoy that space you have created. And at any moment you notice maybe the body kind of resisting the pose, you just back out of the pose slightly. If you need to curl the toes under at any moment, you can, or taking the tops of your feet back down. Yeah, with having him here in person, like I can tell there's a lot of tightness right through here from the mid back to the low back. So I'm going to encourage him to take you giant breath into the low back, into where my hands are. Right? And if you notice tightness in your back and you notice that breath is kind of getting stale or it's not going into a certain space, right? You then invite in the breath to move into there. And what he did right now, like perfect, right? If you feel that in your own body, you need to shift to bring in some ease, too. Three more breaths in child's pose. After that last breath, you're going to gently slide the hips over the knees, hands underneath your shoulders, coming into a tabletop. And then to have right for the low back here, we're going to do cat cows, just a couple. Inhale, head goes up, tailbone goes up, letting the belly drop. And then exhale, rounding, shoulders press up, tailbone down. Inhale, cow, head up, tailbone up. Exhale, cat, tailbone descend, shoulders press up. And let's just do one more. That's a nice stretch after child's pose. All right, and so since he's taller, we've got, which we have all of the props that we made here since we're a yoga studio, but you might have to play a little bit to get the height that you need. We're gonna come into, if you'll come to standing on your knees for me. We're gonna come into supported tabletop. So we're lifting up, and so where are the hips, his hip hinges, right? That's about the height of the bolsters of the props that you wanna create, because now he's gonna fold over the bolsters, letting the torso rest on them. And depending on like the tightness in your neck, for me personally, how I feel it in my body, I like to get my chin in front of the bolsters. So you could play with that, and you could take a right ear or left ear down. And just being aware of how the neck feels and how you can create space in your neck in this pose. Yeah. Now, right, like the breath work. Inhale into the shoulders, 2 breaths in the shoulders. And then 2 breaths into the low lungs, your mid back. Just trusting that the props are there to hold you up. As you sigh out and release your torso down. Now, inhaling into the low back. Sigh out, release down, hips drop down, hip bones drop down. Final, you giant breath, or the cleansing breath, the working breath. And you know what? One more. Fill up all 3 areas, sending your whole torso up towards the ceiling. And then open mouth, sigh out, release down. Let the props hold you up. You let go of any muscle tension, holding on. The thighs releasing, the knees supported by the floor, by that blanket. Allowing a deep rest to settle in into the back, into the torso. And it's amazing how quick the time does go. 5 minutes in one pose sometimes doesn't feel like it's enough. Yeah. And with that, you are more than welcome to stay in the supported tabletop if you really are enjoying the space you found in your low back. And I'll give you just a few more moments to definitely stay in this pose. Allowing the knees to be weights, letting them drop down into the earth, letting your low back doesn't have to hold on anymore. Your body is supported. Welcoming in that ease. Our final pose of class is traditionally Shavasana. And if you want that in your practice today, you'll go ahead and come out of this pose. But if you are really enjoying this, you stay. And Shavasana is where we had started class. You lean on your back. He's choosing to stay, so I'm going to give him a little bit more support in this pose. And sometimes, depending on the type of day I've had, being in stillness and trusting that my mat has me doesn't come natural. And so in these longer poses, if we hold them for 10 minutes, or even choose to stay in this pose versus the Shavasana, I sometimes just have to stay with my Ujjayi breath or cleansing breath to keep myself grounded. Yeah, so like, yeah, a tool for yourself, like playing with the breath. Just like it's a way to let the mind connect with the body in a way then to allow some space, some mental space to come in. Another way to have that happen is generating a mind-body connection from the feet up towards your head. So what I would do for myself in this moment, I would just gently press my toes into the floor in this pose, feeling my toes connect to the mat. And then I'd release that press. And the next point of access would be the knees into the blanket, just a gentle press to feel the blanket, to stay connected to the present moment. And then the next would be the hips, so like we raise the floor up to support the hips and to support the torso. So like even with the breath, as I breathe in, feeling my body press into the support, and then letting go and softening. Working my way towards my head, like with the chin, the support of my chin on the prop, pressing slightly, then releasing. The hands on the floor, the blanket, wherever they're at, just a gentle press down. And to make your way out of tabletop, pressing into your hands, activating your arms, letting the shoulders just start to slowly lift up, taking your time, and then the hands walk on top of your props, starting to lift up. Yeah, and then that next option is kind of just setting all that to the side in a little child's pose to notice the difference now in this second child's pose. Like how that work translates into your body, just like using breath and a stationary pose, holding a pose for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you've got time for. Yeah, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed your class today.